What do people normalize but not realize can be fatal? Jumping into pools and bodies of water the wrong way or without knowing how deep it is. It's such a scary easy thing for people to paralyze themselves for life or die doing, and it's often done just thinking it's going to be harmless. Head dive first into water. Or an edge side jump off a cliff into water below. Alcohol. It's so ingrained in culture. Sad. Have a drink. Happy. Let's go celebrate and have a drink. Dinner. Pair it with wine. Working on the car? Let's have a beer after. Just got off work? Happy hour. Not off work? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's the weekend? Let's do shots. Wedding. Let's toast. New Year's. Champagne. It's deadly, and so normalized. I would say that in those examples, besides the being sad and drinking one, if done normally and in moderation, there is nothing wrong with it. But many people just cross the line. Drinking while doing coke. I've seen it kill people before. A few shots, and few lines, and few Maurice shots, they think it's a killer hangover until they're urinating blood and vomiting for hours. Why does that happen exactly? What's the damage that causes to kill you? Also the exact combo Bryn Hartman was doing the night she shot her husband and herself. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's bad for your mental health too. https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/phil_Hartman #death. Falling. You don't have to fall from a great height for it to be the end. Half your height is a potential fatal fall. A fall on your head from standing is twice that. As someone with epilepsy, this is one I'm keenly aware of. I know all it takes is having a seizure outside and cracking my head open on the curb. I have an ex who also has epilepsy, and she fell in her kitchen one day, hit the back of her head and went blind in both eyes, had to have major brain surgery. Not a fun time. Meanwhile, my brother once fell off an 80-foot cliff and survived with no real major injuries. Some broken ribs and a collapsed lung, but nothing that needed surgery or really anything other than just painkillers and bed rest. Strange how things like that can be. Little over a year ago I slipped on the ice and had a bad concussion. Out of work for a good while, and I still have long-term effects from it. I'm not really old either, 43. Landed on the back of my head and neck, so I dinged my occipital lobe. I get headaches a lot more frequently now, and my eyes are more sensitive to light and if there's a lot going on in my field of vision. Whacking your head in a fall is more dangerous than people realize. This should be the #1 reason why you do everything you can to not fight randos in public over petty bullshit. Or just not fist fight in general. De-escalate, yeah idiots. One little stumble in the wrong direction and someone's life can be literally ended, and the other person's is changed forever. It's not worth it. So like, I could die twice? Yes. I saw a video on here not too long ago of a guy who jumped into a shallow pool head first, and he didn't come up. Found out he broke his neck and was a quadriplegic now. Taking a bunch of painkillers. Kids at my school do this and they don't realize just how dangerous overdosing on Tylenol and other over-the-counter pain meds can be. As a matter of fact, the FDA's lethal Tylenol dose is only 4 more pills than the recommended daily dose for Tylenol. That's how easy it is to take too much and hurt yourself. A lot of people have no idea that's what happened to John Morgan's, Morgan and Morgan, brother, and ultimately led John to where he is now. He was a lifeguard at Disney, jumped into a pool to save someone and was paralyzed. His lawyer lost. John was either in law school or practicing general law, I forget which, and decided after that to focus on medical malpractice. People first think of jumping into water and finding out it's shallow, but jumping into water only to realize it's really deep is so terrifying. You can jump in with only enough breath to push off from the bottom and drown when you realize there's no bottom to push off of. Being a heavier person, I can hit the bottom of a 12-feet pool just from the low dive. Jumping into water that's too deep can really kill. Casual use of party drugs every weekend. Saying there's no issue since you can go the work week without it? Except for the fact that looking forward to getting fucked up over the weekend is the only thing getting them through the week. Then acting completely nasty because they are out of their minds high. But it's okay because they can still hold a job, even though they're blowing through all their money. Party culture is out of control and leads to nothing but addiction. I also think about how some of these drugs haven't been around long enough for us to really understand what they do to you long term. Like meth, we have a reasonably good understanding of what that does to you over an extended period of regular use. But I don't know if we have that data for some of the newer designer drugs. I would be very nervous about any use of unrelated substances like that, let alone being a regular user for years. Scare pranks. People can behave unpredictably when startled. The more obvious threat is that the target of the prank might fight back against a perceived threat, but some people might freeze when the prankster expects them to run, which can also be harmful when the means of scaring is something actually dangerous. Add to this, there are people with cardiac conditions that could literally die, or their blood pressure could be raised so much by a scare prank that they need the ER. There are people with anxiety and panic disorders that could go into a panic attack, which can take hours and sometimes even days to fully recover from. If someone is experiencing the beginning symptoms of paranoid psychosis, this could speed up their descent into worse psychosis by a significant amount to the point that someone who is psychotic but wants to get help may no longer trust anyone, so they may avoid getting help. If a child is nearby and sees it, that could cause nightmares for weeks or even months, making life so much harder for the entire family. Even if it is harmless, a scare prank can cause so much damage to all involved. And the damage is not always physical or visible. Don't hurt people in the name of humor. When you do pranks, know the recipient and make sure it's something they would find funny and not something that would harm them in any way. And never, ever prank strangers. I remember that prank where a kid popped out of a trash bin and got KO'd by the pranky. Also remember the scary clown almost getting shot.